Turnovers, jitters, and execution. Week 1 was all about it. Clemson LSU could hinge on the same. We'll talk about it right here on Locked on Clemson.
You are Locked on Clemson, your daily podcast on the Clemson Tigers. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Tiger fans? Morgan Thomas here, Clemson fan, Clemson grad, host and producer of Locked on Clemson, part-time host and producer over on the flagship station, 105.5 FM The Roar. Thank you so much for making Locked on Clemson your first listen of the day. We're part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day. And an absolutely big, huge salute to my everydayers out there. You know who you are. You know how we do it here on Locked on. Exclusive Clemson content Monday through Friday, every single week. And if you're new to the show, welcome in. I hope you enjoy it. 75% of viewers right now are not yet subscribed. So what are you waiting for? Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button so you never miss another episode. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel season is here. Football season is here, and it is ready for you. FanDuel app, go over there, join today, start planning out your futures bets right now. Week 0 showed us exactly why you can't overreact to the very first game that your team plays in college football, but also how important it is for Clemson and LSU to play a complete game, to play a clean game. Clemson LSU could come down to which of the Tiger teams can handle the inevitable, the early season, the mistake. We saw it week 0. We ridiculed it. We talked about how college football should change the beginning of the season because of how bad it is, although we didn't give any credit to the fact that Ireland was Irelanding, if you will. We don't want to talk about the fact that this is just what's going to happen, whether you have 16 preseason games, 4 preseason games, 1 preseason game. It doesn't matter. You're going to have the inevitable at the beginning of your season, whether you're playing a cupcake or whether you're playing a team that matters. Iowa State, Kansas State. What did you see when you watched that game? Turnovers, sloppy special teams, the weather slowed down both teams, made it look like they had absolutely no offense. We know that they have a better offense than what they showed. We didn't really want to give a lot of credit to the fact that they were playing in Ireland in the rain. I mean, the grass, as beautiful as it was refusing to hold any of the paint. You couldn't see any of the yard lines. You couldn't see the out of bounds. You couldn't see the numbers. Couldn't see the ads. And we didn't want to give any credit to the elements. We didn't want to give any credit to the stadium. And we didn't want to talk about how this is probably how week 1 is going to go as well. It wasn't really until later on in the game that Iowa State and Kansas State started to clean up things a little bit, with Iowa State finally winning the game and pulling out the win. Incarnate Word, Nicholls State, if you watch that, Incarnate Word, top 5 FCS team, big, giant egg they laid because offensive inefficiency, turnovers, maybe even some jitters in the first game, 3 picks, including a pick 6 that really sealed the deal. An ACC matchup, well, not matchup, but an ACC team played Hawaii, Stanford at the end of the night. Stanford couldn't stop the run to save their life. Hawaii's quarterback got hurt, and it really didn't matter for the Rainbow Warriors. They still were able to win the game, albeit on a last-second field goal. So special teams matter too. Stopping the run matters. Kansas UNLV, Kansas was really, they got out to a lead and never looked back. UNLV was a shootout, a little bit more straightforward of what you were expecting on paper, but there were still some communication breakdowns and some poor tackling. Why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because you should be prepared for what's going to happen August 30th. August 30th is not going to be a perfect game if you're an LSU fan. if you're a Clemson fan, August 30th is not going to be a perfect game. Clemson LSU week 1 is going to feature two of the best teams that college football can offer you in 2025. Two of the best, most complete rosters, talented rosters up and down with playoff expectations for both. But what we saw week 0 is not just a week 0 thing. Great teams, even potentially great teams, could have some hiccups at the beginning of the season. You turn the ball over, you struggle with execution. These kind of things at the beginning of the season can cause big problems. Momentum, mistakes. Opening a game up like this is a huge deal for both teams. Both teams have a lot on the line, but they might not be settled in as we would like them to be. Coaching adjustments at halftime are going to be critical for Dabo Swinney and Brian Kelly. Who will win the game could come down to who actually makes an adjustment or just keeps fumbling through, trying to force things that just aren't working. Iowa State managed to kind of switch it up a little bit towards the end of the game. That kind of execution, that kind of decision-making in critical moments could decide whether Clemson comes out on top or LSU comes out on top. And then ultimately, as I've mentioned to you in the past shows, the pressure to respond and stay under control after mistakes, after the uh-ohs. I'm not just talking about pressure from the defensive line. I'm just talking about pressure from the fact that the game's not going to go perfectly. Who will respond better? Will it be Cade Klubnik? Will it be Garrett Nussmeier? Whoever quarterback strives under pressure better is going to be huge in game 1 for both of these teams. These mistakes, these issues aren't going to stop week 0. They might not even stop week 5 because this is a developmental league, whether we want to pay him $1 million or not. These guys are still figuring it out. Turnovers can change everything. I mean, look at Kansas State's muff punt, fumbles. I mean, the muff punt was not only that, but their lead running back gone for the rest of the game. Clemson has to limit mistakes. Clemson can't give LSU's offense short fields like that. Offensive rhythm is important, but it could take time. I mean, we saw that with other teams this weekend. How long will it take Garrett Riley and Cade Klubnik to get on the same page? Now, we're banking on the fact that they're not even going to need that any time. They're going to start right out the gate, throw a 70-yard bomb, going to be no problem. Every single offensive play is going to work great. But what if it doesn't? Run defense matters as well. Stanford just got gashed. Clemson has to fix what they had problems with last season, and that also was run defense. LSU's running backs are good. LSU's quarterback is good. Their offensive line still could be figuring it out. Who will win in that matchup when it comes to running the ball? Will Clemson go back to 2024 and just allow LSU to run all over them? I hope not. And then finally, late game execution. You know, it may be a battle, a slugfest within just a few points or even a tie game until the very end of the game. I know I'm going to be stressed as all get out if that actually happens, but it would make for a theatrical, start to the season with two juggernauts. It'd make for good television, that's for sure. Whoever manages situational football, those adjustments at halftime, could win this game. It could be little things, little mistakes, little turnovers, big turnovers, self-inflicted wounds. I'm telling you, these two teams, the more we get closer to the game, I don't see a massive blowout from one or the other team. Home field advantage or not, to me, this is going to be a slugfest that could be determined by a simple mistake. But hey, it's not just about avoiding mistakes. It's about making plays too. And coming up, I'm going to talk about how Clemson can make those plays, what the players who will make those plays, and who Pro Football Focus thinks Clemson has an advantage on. Guys, you're probably familiar with names like Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them, but you're looking for something that's faster, more modern, and more convenient. It's time to meet Rugiet Ready. Rugiet Ready is the next generation prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rugiet's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average in just 15 minutes, and the effects can last up to 36 hours. So you can stay confident and in control when the moment's right. As someone who juggles a packed schedule, I'll be flying tomorrow. I'll be visiting with my family. I'll be doing this show. And I appreciate when I'm busy, the things are simple, fast, and reliable. Rugiet Ready checks all those boxes. And I like that the entire process can be handled online, from the doctor consult to the discreet shipping. No awkward trips or waiting rooms. And if you're still on the fence, they've got tons of real reviews from men who've made the switch and are getting the results. Head over to rugiet.com/lockedoncollege to use code LOCKEDONCollege to get 15% off today. That's Rugiet Ready, RUGIET.com/lockedoncollege, and use promo code LOCKEDONCollege for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit Rugiet website for full safety information. Hey, we've got an important request for our Locked On viewers and listeners. Locked On wants to hear from you. We put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcasts even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't like, and answer questions about our advertising. Go on to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes. Thank you so much for helping us out. Clemson's wide receiver room has been getting national respect. And yes, Pro Football Focus has been giving them a lot of respect as well. You know, I believe they're one of the better groups in the country. They have officially put out their list of top 10 groups for each position group, and wide receiver was one I immediately went to. And they are listed, according to Pro Football Focus, as the number 3 overall wide receiver group, even ahead of LSU. Whether LSU fans want to believe that or not, if you ask them in my comments, they talk about how, you know, they're the most talented group we've ever seen. They're better than 2019, and Clemson has no chance. But somehow, people outside of Baton Rouge think differently. People outside of Clemson, South Carolina, tend to lean more towards Clemson than they do LSU. Tiger fans over there may not like that, but I can understand where Pro Football Focus is coming from. And to me, the numbers add up. The 2025 wide receiver core for Clemson, at being number 3 overall, just behind Ohio State and Auburn, to me is right where Clemson needs to be. Clemson's trio of Bryant Wesco, TJ Moore, Antonio Williams, they should and have deserved to be recognized as one of the nation's most elite group of wide receivers. Clemson has just added even more firepower to that group, adding in a returning Tyler Brown from injury and a transfer portal player in Tristan Smith, who's been doing nothing but lighting up the practice field since he got on campus. Now adding those 2 to the 3, you've got 5 guys that you can rotate in or put all out there at the same time. And I think be frustrating majority of college football secondary. especially a secondary like LSU that, whether they want to admit it or not, best transfer portal player or not, has some question marks. Bryant Wesco, 707 receiving yards as a true freshman. Only behind Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams. Doesn't seem to get the respect like that, though. Everybody talks about Jeremiah Smith. He gets on all the covers of everything. Ryan Williams gets all over Instagram. Those are the two guys that were freshmen that everybody gets all the love to. Brian Wesco was right behind him, third. TJ Moore was right behind him, lived up to his height, 650 yards. These two guys were two of the best true freshmen in the 2024 college football season. But you really don't hear a lot about them. You do hear a lot about Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams. Add into that, you have Antonio Williams tied for third among Power 4 wideouts with 11 touchdowns. And a lot of people are saying maybe he needs to be on that NFL draft radar for 2026. Even to me, Antonio Williams doesn't get the love as these other guys do. Maybe, just maybe, it's the brand, but to me, Clemson is a national brand. They're a well-recognized brand. They're not going to get the love and the respect that you get out of SEC, this and that. And I get that. But Clemson has one thing that LSU doesn't. Both have talent. Don't get me wrong. Before you go blast me, LSU has talent. We know they have talent. What LSU doesn't have is consistency. What LSU doesn't have is proven year over year over year success from their wide receiver group. Now, they're a top 10 wide receiver group. Pro Football Focus has them at 7 overall, while Clemson at 3. They're leaning heavily on their transfer portal additions, and specifically, as we've been told over and over and over, speed, 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 speed. And I believe in that speed. I do. And I'm worried about that speed. I am. And you should be too as a Clemson fan. That speed can kill you. And you don't want to allow just one play to completely shut up the whole stadium and kill your momentum. Especially, let's say you got them behind the chains on a third down and then you give up a 40-yard pass. You don't want that. How will this group of guys for LSU work well together? Nick Anderson comes from Oklahoma, but not a lot of work in 2024 because of injury. Barian Brown, an SEC guy, but really his best game was against Clemson, and that was in 2023. He's explosive, don't get me wrong. One of the best guys when it comes to special teams, and that could really hurt Clemson. And he's also shown that he can score against Clemson in 3 different ways. So that is a concern for sure. And Aaron Anderson, their go-to guy, Garrett Nussmeier knows him very well, hit him on many, many plays last season. The yard after the catch monster. You don't want to let him get juiced up after getting all those yak yards and just destroy you and just get on a roll. And then the big monster at tight end, Trey'Dez Green. How will he attack Clemson at the tight end position, being 6'7", like 240, huge basketball player? There's a lot of talent there, but still a lot of unknowns. Not to mention that we got to throw in Chris Hilton Jr., who could possibly be, another burner who, that could possibly destroy Clemson on the outside. There's a lot of guys to have to bracket and you don't have that many players out there in the field to do that. So you're going to play straight up man-to-man with that kind of speed? Hard to say how it will all work out. It's going to be a test for Clemson and their secondary. But don't get me wrong. The better wide receiver group is Clemson. And the group that should be worried more is that LSU secondary. That LSU secondary that, just happens to be the best transfer portal player guys in this history of transfer portal. I get it. But let me tell you something. The Clemson wide receiver group is proven and returning and on the same page with Cade Klubnik and at their home stadium. That crowd's going to be behind them, and they're going to show you exactly why Dabo Swinney knows how to build a university that's prior wide receiver you for multiple years. Dabo Swinney knows how to get to the national championship game and win those games. Brian Kelly does not. Clemson's wide receiver group should be one of the most electric of the season, one of the most dominant in 2025. And they should have LSU fans and LSU secondary worried. On the other side, LSU does have talent. It's going to sting if those guys get open and gash you as well. This is going to be a slugfest. It's not just about reputation, though. It's about production. LSU's got a lot of talent and reputation behind speed. Clemson's got a lot of production on the stat sheet and continuity with their quarterback and their offensive coordinator. Who will end up being the winner at the end of the day? Well, I'm still relying heavily on the fact that a proven team with guys that are returning, one of the best offenses in the country, now back again with most of the team intact. That's where I'm going to put my all-in chips on for now. I know you're loving Pro Football Focus's rankings on Clemson's wide receiver group versus LSU's and what that means going into week one. But there's another big storyline for week one as well, and that's the ACC as a whole. Clemson, can they hold their own against an SEC foe? And who else is at a risk of a dangerous matchup week one? We'll talk about it segment 3. August 25th is officially FanDuel's Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, Josh Allen, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week one even kicks off, this is your moment. Now, if I had to give you any of my thoughts, I would put a lot of chips on Josh Allen. And, you know, I love blue, so give me Detroit Lions for the Super Bowl. I love it. I am so ready. This week is also my fantasy football team, and I'm going to be picking a lot of these guys to go very far this season. Visit FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. Hey, before we jump into the next segment, I've got something special for Locked On Clemson fans. If you want even more content, join the Locked On Clemson Insider Program. You can get one-on-one access to me through direct text message all throughout the season. You can send in your questions. I can give you my insight on specific players, situations, things I'm hearing that you won't hear on the show. And I have planned some special mailbag episodes just for subscribers. So be part of the conversation all season long. There's even a 14-day free trial. So you can check it out, text with me for 2 weeks, see how you like it, all for risk-free. I'll put the link in the description for you to check that out. Now, this weekend is really what we care about, Clemson LSU. That's what it's all about for me. That's what it's all about for you. But it's also about the ACC proving itself. You know, we want to get a lot of respect as a conference, but it's hard to get that respect when you did what you did in the bowl season. I think they were 2-11? Not very good. So some of these teams are not going to hold up. Can you plant your flag as a conference? And maybe you're just one of those fans that says, who cares? I'm not an SEC fan. I'm not an ACC fan. That's what the SEC does. You know, they cheer for their own conference. Maybe that's why some of their conference does better in these matchups, because their fan base actually cares about it. I don't know. But there's a fine line between making big-time statement wins week one or having a huge, ugly loss. I personally want my conference to have more respect. And it's up to the other teams in the ACC to demand that respect. Now, I'm looking at the schedule, and Vegas has set the lines, and the matchups are pretty good, honestly, this week. I'm looking forward to seeing what Virginia Tech can do, what Miami can do. Notre Dame as well against Miami. And then obviously Clemson is the one that I care really only about, but the rest I'm going to be looking at. Not every game is made equal, though. I want to give you my ranks of most likely to lose versus least likely to lose. So I'll give you like my risk level here. Virginia Tech versus South Carolina, to me, has got to be the highest of all risk level for this weekend. I believe in Lenora Sellers and what South Carolina is doing. I'm not really sure what I can believe in with Virginia Tech. Can Kyron Drones create explosive plays? How will South Carolina's defensive front do? It's going to be a tough matchup for Virginia Tech. I'm probably going to lean on the fact that South Carolina will win this game with Lenora Sellers, and that Virginia Tech is going to have a difficult time, and they're going to walk away with a loss. So for me, the one that's at the biggest risk, I'm not going to be surprised. Let's just put it that way. I'm not going to be surprised if Virginia Tech loses. North Carolina is the next up. They've got to host TCU, but they're at home. Bill Belichick's head coaching debut in college, has he found any sort of stability for the Tar Heels? TCU is actually a favorite to start this game, so I'm ranking that very high. Syracuse and Tennessee. Tennessee almost a 2-touchdown favorite. I'm not sure if Syracuse can win this game either. They can't contain the Tennessee speed, then to me, I could understand how you would take the Tennessee minus the points and assume it's going to get out of hand. Talked to a guy this weekend about Alabama. Alabama fans are also very concerned about what Kalen DeBoer is doing. And if he's actually the right guy, maybe he's just a transitional guy. This guy actually said he would rather had Dabo Swinney as a coach than DeBoer. Alabama's got a high ranking, but to me, it doesn't feel right. Florida State had a disastrous last season, but can they turn it around and jump right back into the portal process? And it's going to be difficult for sure. Alabama is a 2-score favorite as well, but it's at Florida State. So, this could be one. If Alabama doesn't win, there's going to be a lot of griping in Tuscaloosa about that head coach. I don't want to see Florida State win. I don't want to see South Carolina win, but I'm putting my chips on maybe Florida State throws some punches against Alabama. Maybe South Carolina. Well, I'm not going to say maybe on South Carolina. I'm definitely going with South Carolina against Virginia Tech. So those are my very high, extremely highs with my week 1 ACCs. Toss up for me is probably going to be Miami and Notre Dame. The line right now is under a field goal. Hard Rock Stadium, Sunday night. Old school rivalry there. Vegas is on to something. They always are when they see the 2.5. Is Miami finally ready to prove they're more hype, or they're more the real thing than hype? Can they handle someone like Notre Dame who knows what they're doing? Marcus Freeman knows what he's doing. So that's my toss up. I've given you my high and my toss up. My moderate risk, excuse me, my moderate risk is probably going to be Clemson LSU, leaning more towards a toss up. And I know I hate to say that out loud, but where I lean towards is Cade Klubnik and LSU, and Cade Klubnik and the wide receivers and LSU's revamped secondary. I believe the Tigers are favored for a reason. That reason is they're playing at home and they have more continuity on their team. And the places where they had the biggest frustration in 2024, they made those resets in small doses, not in complete resets, but they made an adjustment in small doses. So that's where I'm going. So that's my moderate to severe side effects, if you will, of week one. I won't give you all the rest. You watch me or listen to me on the radio, you can get the rest. Maybe I'll throw in the rest of this week on this podcast. But, the ACC reputation is on the line. Can Miami, Florida State, can they hold it down while Clemson also does the same? Can Virginia Tech do something? Can North Carolina do something? We shall see. But this week one, if it goes south like the bowl season did, could be a pretty frustrating week one. And honestly, with Friday, Saturday, Sunday, even a Monday game, it's going to be a situation where the ACC is going to be on display, and it could be either really good or getting another black eye and getting swept out. Thank you so much for making Locked On Clemson your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Portal Show. Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. Find the Portal on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. And to my everydayers, hey, thank you so much for hanging with me to the very end of this show. And as always, for everyone else, all the Tiger fans out there, it's game week. I'll see you tomorrow. And on Saturday, I'll see you at the top of the hill.